recognize the gentleman from, oh, she's gone, from Texas. Mr. Gonzales, the floor is yours for a second round.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Madam Secretary. Some could argue you have one of the toughest jobs in Washington, right? We had Elon show up with 2 hats. Maybe you should have shown up with 3 hats, right? Part of DHS that I worry about is it's a Swiss Army knife of the federal government. It seems like everything is in there. And we alluded to this earlier. How did DHS start? It started after 9/11 when Islamic extremists murdered Americans. And so I worry. We covered a lot of topics today. And I know the border gets a lot of attention, and I know there's a lot going on in the cyberspace. But I think back to some of the fundamentals. And I think back to 9/11, and I worry. I go, I look ahead, and I see, the World Cup coming our way, and I see the Olympics coming our way. I want us to make sure that we're not only focused on today, but we're also focused on tomorrow. Please keep that at the forefront of it. At the end of the day, right now we're feeding tomahawks to Houthis every day in Yemen, and it reminds me a whole lot of pre-9/11, right? I spent 5 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. No one knew about Al-Qaeda. No one knew where Afghanistan was on a map. It's very eerily similar, and the American people are really counting on you to make sure we're safe. On that note, DHS has lost its way over the last course of the last several years in their last administration, and I want to flag for you an office in particular, the Office of Immigration Detention Ombudsman. I mean, this was literally an office funded by taxpayer dollars that had billboards up that, and I quote, said throughout Texas, said, "Your brother in immigration custody has rights. We're here to help." I mean, it's complete nonsense. And once again, where are our taxpayer dollars going? So as you're you're off to a very fast start, much appreciated. But as you're going through these and you're tackling these different, please look at that program. Yeah. I know in our fiscal year 25 budget, we zeroed that out, but unfortunately we couldn't get that over the finish line. So I'd ask for you to really take a look at that.
Congressman, we have looked at that already. We have recognized the abuses that happened. And many times that office was perpetuated on suing themselves and coming up with ways to cost the taxpayer more and more money. So we've put them back to what the size that they should be and addressed how it was misused and abused, and will continue to do so into the future to make sure that that isn't weaponized against the American people in the future.
Thank you for that. And I also want to thank you for something that is working. These HSI-led task forces work. You've seen it all throughout the country. It's how do we pool our resources? This isn't a federal issue. It isn't a state issue. It isn't a local issue. It's all of us. We're all in on this together. And in my experience, those task forces really work. So when it comes to funding, when it comes to legislation, once again, please, if you would, they're working. I'm hearing it from constituents all over the country. My good friend Juan Ciscomani, I know it's working in Arizona. It's certainly working in Texas. And then the other thing I want to mention is Stone Garden funding. Once again, this is something, it's an area that I believe is a force multiplier. It gives funding to our local law enforcement that are acting in the immigration space. This works. One of the issues that I see is sometimes it's a little too stringent. It's a little too, it almost like the federal government is discouraging local law enforcement from being involved. Maybe that's something we can tackle together. I'd love to hear your ideas, not now, but as you work through things on how we can, once again, make sure that our programs are working for the American people, not against us.
I agree. Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic. I've heard it's a highly effective program, and if there's ways to get more participants and streamline.
Chairman, I yield back my minute of time.